Listen, God don't need your $5.75 when he owns the world, when silver and gold are his. David thought that now that he's established, he loves God, okay? He built a tent for the Ark of the Covenant of God to reside in. The Ark of the Covenant of God represents the physical presence of the Lord. And so David has Hiram, who is the king of Tyre, who has built him a palace of cedar. And the Lord's Ark is now living in a tent, which it has been in tent, it has been in the tabernacle since when Moses built it. So now he's established and he has money. He's becoming popular. He's becoming powerful. Other kings love him. They want to partner with him. They want to collaborate with him. And so he is all that in a bag of chips. But then David thinks about God. He's like, there's no way that I live in a cedar palace, but the physical presence of the Lord is in a tent. And so he tells Nathan, he says, oh, I want to build a place of cedar for God. And Nathan is like, okay, whatever. It seems like it's a noble thing. And so Nathan's like, whatever's in your heart, go do it. And so God comes to Nathan that same very night. And God tells Nathan, go and tell my servant David, this is what the Lord says. Are you the one to build me a house to dwell in? I have not dwelt in a house from the day I brought the Israelites out of Egypt to this day. I have been moving from place to place with a tent as my dwelling. Wherever I've moved, with all of the Israelites, did I ever say to any of their rulers whom I commanded to shepherd my people Israel, why have you not built me a house of cedar? Tell my servant David, this is what the Lord Almighty says. I took you from the pasture and from following the flock to be ruler over my people Israel. I have been with you wherever you have gone, and I have cut off all of your enemies from before you. Now I will make your name great, like the names of the greatest men on the earth, and I will provide a place for my people Israel, and I will plant them so that they can have a home of their own and no longer be disturbed. Wicked people will not oppress them anymore as they did in the beginning and have done ever since the time I appointed leaders over my people Israel. I will also give you rest from all your enemies. And then the Lord declares that to you, the Lord himself will establish a house for you. And then it goes on and God says that he will raise up one of David's offspring to succeed David, and that, David's kingdom will endure forever. And so, yes, David had a good heart because he really wanted to build a house of cedar, a temple of cedar for God, because he's living in a house of cedar. And so he's like, there's no way that like I'm, this great king, but then God, who it literally is like the reason why I'm here, the reason why I live. There's no way that God is living in a tent. And God is like, I didn't ask for all of that. I didn't ask you to build me a tent. You think you're going to build me a tent? Uno reverse. Now, I'm actually going to build you a house. I'm going to make sure Israel has a house. I'm going to, each of them has their own house, that they will not be oppressed anymore, that they will have no enemies. I'll give you rest, and I'm going to establish a kingdom for you. I'm going to establish a house for you. And so the word house is bayit, and there's a play on word. The house that David wanted to build for God is like a physical temple, but then the house that God says he's going to establish is David's lineage, David's kingdom. And so we also see there's like some messianic hope in there as well. And we know that Jesus is the son of David and Jesus reigns forever. So it started out with David wanting to do something good for God, David wanting to present God with a great, beautiful house of cedar, out of his love, out of his joy, out of his happiness. Like God's like, okay, yeah, great, but in no reverse, I'm actually going to do greater for you than what you think you can do for me. So God don't need your little $2.05. God can do so much greater for you than you can do for him. And I love how God reminded David, like, I took you from being a shepherd and I put you as king. So like, if I wanted a house of cedar, if I wanted a temple, I would have said so. And he also said, like, you're not going to be the one to actually build it. And later on, we see, I think in Chronicles, we see how God said it wasn't David, because David's hands were bloody, so it wouldn't have been David to build the house for God, and it would have been Solomon. What I love about David, though, is like he's okay with a no. When God said no, he's okay with it. Instead of trying to like convince God, oh no, let me build your house, let me build your house. He's like, okay, you're going to do so much greater for me. He recognizes that God saying no to him is that it means that God is going to give him something greater. God is like, he's saying like, I can give you something greater. And so he's okay with God's no, because he knows that God's no means that something greater is coming. And then also what I love about David is later on we see how it is David who made provision for the temple. It's David who literally got all of the workers, who bought all of the materials and all of these things, so that by the time Solomon becomes king, then all of these things would already be prepared, so that Solomon can just have the workers build the temple. But David made the preparation. He bought all of the materials. So even though he wasn't the one to build the house for God, he wasn't salty about it. He wasn't sour about it. He wasn't nasty about it. He actually prepared it for Solomon. He wasn't jealous that Solomon was the one who got to build the temple.